from...
What's different when you're shooting people from shooting landscapes?
I see. Well, they're more ornery. Yeah, I hadn't filmed people in a long time, and then last year I showed a film that had people in it, but it was actually a remaking of an older film, which I copied. And that somewhat inspired me to work with people again. And then I had seen the Warhol screen test again last year, and that when I watched the screen test, I was really curious how people would perform for the camera. And his screen tests are each length of a 100-foot of film at silent speed, so they're like 4 minutes long. And most of them would keep a certain persona for the whole 4 minutes. And then I thought, well, I'd like to film people a little longer to see if it could break down that persona that they present to the camera and the self-consciousness. And so I just thought, well, I'll use cigarettes for 2 reasons. It'll be an excuse to film the people, and really I'm trying to make portraits. And then my mind is so fuzzy today. I had a second thing, but I'll get back to that. Sorry.
No, that's okay. As someone, I've been a heavy smoker for a long time, not anymore. But that's why maybe I thought in some cases that people were actually not really smokers. I mean, there are certain kinds of smokers also in real life.
Well, the very first one, that's the first cigarette he ever smoked. And hopefully the only one. Although he was enjoying it so much by the end, I was afraid I might have caused an addiction. But, and then my good friend Dick Hebditch hadn't smoked for 12 years, and he got sick for 3 hours after smoking. So. And you can see him slowly turn green in the shot.
So who are all these people? Some of them are familiar to us. Thanks for bringing us Sharon Lockhart back to the Arsenal. And some others are familiar as well, but others are totally unknown to us. So how do you choose them?
Well, they were just acquaintances and friends. And of course I was trying to map the world into a package of cigarettes through my friends. So I was very concerned about representation of, there's 10 male and 10 female smokers, and there's so many old and so many young, so many poor, so many rich. So I thought it would be interesting to see the difference of somebody old and somebody young, those kind of changes.
And did it play a role that you knew them? Could it have been people that you don't know, that you just...
Yeah, I think it would have... I don't know. It probably would be much different if I wouldn't have known anybody. I mean, most of the people began being very self-conscious and kind of performing, and then slowly, I think the nicotine relaxes you into giving away who you are. There's one of my favorite parts in the film is the guy who calls his dog, and in the middle he goes into a trance, kind of, just staring forward. And, he's in some other world for about 10 seconds. I have no idea where, but and I like that when that would occur. And then other people, I think Janet Jenkins from Chicago, she's the only one that consistently looks into the frame, so she's really trying to control the gaze, her gaze to the audience, and she's very aware of filmmaking and films, so I think she wanted to have that kind of presence. So I thought that people that I know that are much poorer or and had less film knowledge reacted different to the camera. Like my friend, the last guy, I think he's just brilliant how he completely gives himself. Yeah, you have to know him, but he's exactly like that. It's such a perfect portrait of him.
Were there moments like where you were really surprised from what you got when you saw the footage?
Yeah, well, I was surprised because I only did one take of everybody. because I thought if I did it again, it would have a different presence. So, and I shot a couple other people that I didn't use. But it was I made the film very quickly, within a month.
Other questions, comments? Yes.
How was the situation for the performers in front of the camera? Have you been behind the camera?
I would set the camera up, and the camera was from that far away, so the camera is pretty much has a real strong presence. And then I would tell the people they could only move to stay in frame. You could move this far, and then that you could look anywhere, wherever you wanted, do whatever you wanted. And then I turned the camera on and I hid behind a tree, or I left the room, because I didn't want them to be. Although at some points it seems like they're looking right at me, but I'm not anywhere around. So it's kind of interesting. Yeah.
Two additional things. One is the background decision. So how come this background is chosen? And the sound design, is it accidentally, or did you work hard on that? Really?
Well, I'm sorry. What was the first question again?
Background situation, sound design.
Okay, the backgrounds were chosen to be somewhat minimal, but also to refer to that particular person. So I chose generally something in their own environment that I filmed at. But I wanted it very flat, so the busiest one is the guy who calls his dog, which was in his workshop. And the sound design, it's heavily designed, yeah. But I tried to make it very minimal, so it isn't noticeable when what I'm doing with the sound. But it's all shot in sync, and then certain sounds are added and subtracted.
Here was a question. Danata.
Did you tell the people something? Please don't look into the camera. Please don't laugh. Please don't make.
No, in fact, I told them they could look anywhere, and if they want to, they can look into the camera. But no, I didn't give any real direction. Just most of them told me I don't smoke this way. I never stand up and look forward and just smoke. So they already were telling me how uncomfortable I was making them. But I told them, well, that's part of it, that you're being confronted by the camera. So you confront it back if you like.
Yeah.
I'm interested in your choice of using black in between the actors, and can you tell us the reason for that?
Because all the compositions are somewhat similar. They're similar in size. When I cut it straight, I didn't like the way it was cutting, and then I also thought it needed a little breath between each take. So what I didn't want is any kind of articulation from one shot to another, that one smoker would affect the other. And when I didn't have the black, in a few cases that would happen. So it was both graphically and because of this not wanting any one meaning to change the next.